From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
A very good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm Jagger Oslali with your 10 o'clock news update on 1680 The Crow. Let's get right into it with our producer Jocelyn Chappelle, who has our top stories.
Today, our reporters are covering the Holocaust education being mandatory in BC and Ontario schools. We also have one of our reporters heading off to Burnaby City Hall for a conference about women leaving violence. Our For the Record host, Jake McGrail, is also chatting with a UBC football player today who transferred from SFU after their program shut down. Now, Jay Garage, I know you have an exciting story today for any music fans tuning in.
Our top story, Taylor Swift is set to grace Vancouver with her Eras Tour scheduled for 3 nights from December 6th to 8th, 2024 at BC Place. Laurie Paris from the Canadian Press has more.
After a cruel summer that saw Toronto as the only Canadian stop added to the record-breaking Eras Tour, fans will be able to catch Taylor Swift at BC Place on December 6th, 7th, and 8th of next year. Swifties can register for tickets on the Verified Fan website through Saturday, and the sale will begin November 9th. Swift began her tour earlier this year, performing songs from her chart-topping career against the backdrop of an elaborate stage design for each album. Since then, a concert film version of the performance, Taylor Swift: The Eras Tour, made its way to theaters and has quickly dominated the box office. Laurie Paris, The Canadian Press.
A fire broke out at Cloverdale Traditional School in Surrey near Highway 10 and 177B Street on Thursday morning. The school has been closed due to site issues, and further information will be provided to families shortly. Firefighters are currently responding to the incident. CBC and Radio Canada's President Catherine Tate defended the public broadcaster's independence during her testimony before a Commons committee. Laurie Paris of the Canadian Press has more.
In her opening remarks, Catherine Tate told MPs the CBC is accountable to all Canadians and not to politicians, and its journalists work independently of corporate management. Liberal MPs asked what would happen if the public broadcaster's $1.4 billion budget was reduced, with Tory leader Pierre Poilievre promising to pare down the budget for CBC's English services while retaining coverage for linguistic minorities. Tate says defunding the CBC will be devastating to its ability to fulfill its mandate to serve rural Canadians in particular. She also says losing the public broadcaster would be bad for Canadian democracy. Laurie Paris, The Canadian Press.
The family of a woman in Nanaimo is demanding answers after she spent nearly 4 days in a hospital hallway due to a lack of available beds. She had been initially rushed to the emergency room for a brain bleed, was kept in a crowded hallway with no dedicated doctor until day 4, and the family struggled to get updates on her condition. After numerous complaints to Island Health, she was finally admitted to a proper bed, with the family working tirelessly to advocate for her care. They emphasized that diagnostic scans and daily doctor visits were part of her care, though the family was not informed of these details. The family called for government intervention to address healthcare problems in Nanaimo, highlighting severe doctor shortages and limited healthcare options for the city's population. Police in Australia have charged a woman with murdering 3 guests at a weekend family lunch with poisonous mushrooms. Karen Chamas of the Associated Press has more.
Police arrested Erin Patterson at her home in Victoria State, where her ex-in-laws came along with 2 other guests for lunch. She made a beef Wellington which included supermarket mushrooms and dried mushrooms from an Asian grocery store. The next day, all 4 guests were taken to hospital and only 1 guest survived. Police say the symptoms the 4 diners suffered were consistent with poisoning by wild Amanita phalloides, known as death cap mushrooms. Victoria Police Detective Inspector Dean Thomas.
Today's arrest is just the next step in what has been a complex and thorough investigation.
The hostess was also charged with 3 counts of attempting to murder her former husband Simon Patterson on previous occasions. I'm Karen Chamas.
Taking a look at the weather now, rain showers continuing throughout the day and into the weekend with a high of 13 degrees, so keep those umbrellas up and those raincoats on. That's all for your 10 o'clock news update. I'm Jagraz Lawley. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay listening to 1680 The Crow, as Filip Kovacevic is coming up real soon.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
With the nickname Hollywood North, Vancouver is one of the largest centers of film production on the continent. Pick out a Hollywood blockbuster at random, and there's a decent chance it was filmed here. The cameras are always rolling. Except not at the moment, because the film industry here has been barren for months. The WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes might be seen as an American-only issue by some, but Metro Vancouver has taken a big hit with how dependent the local industry is on American business. One of the many people affected by this is David Clark, an art designer based in North Vancouver. He's worked on major productions like Man of Steel, War for the Planet of the Apes, and Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now, however, he's out of work, and won't be getting much of anything until after all the strikes are over. I sat down with him to chat about the warning signs that predated the beginning of the strikes, his predictions for what might come next, and why he's not feeling all doom and gloom over the state of the industry here. How long did you think that it would take for these stoppages to be resolved initially?
Oh, good question, because I mean, it's the last time we were affected here by a writer's strike. I was lucky enough to be working on a Canadian show, so I was blissfully out of it. I worked my way through it, but I think it lasted about 100 days. But I think the general air going into these things that it would be a few months. So it's been a few more than that.
Yeah, it's been 6 months this week, and given that these are American strikes, what is it like being a Canadian working here but dependent on that American business?
I mean, I guess not much different from living down there in the States. It's because most of the productions we get up here are US productions or US funded productions, and so we are beholden on everything that happens down there. You know, if it goes down, I mean, things when the writers went first, May 2nd, I think it was, they, like a number of shows, like TV series, would go down straight away because they generally only work like an episode or two in hand. So maybe they last a couple of weeks and then they have to stop. But again, it was different this time. The last time, which was don't know, 2017 or something. It would have been like a few contracts ago. It was interesting because it seemed like the studios like were putting out more than seasonally normal to like cover the gap that would be, you know, covered by the strike. Whereas this year, people kind of started battening up the hatches like at Christmas. There was not much around. There wasn't much around really for the sort of 5 months preceding the strikes. Some movies, a few movies, which could weather the storm a bit better, but that was about it.
So as someone within the industry noticing that you kind of had advance warning that, oh, there could be this big stoppage coming up right now?
I mean, yeah, for sure. And so, I mean, I think everybody was just trying to get on whatever they could in the hope that that thing would be able to last, you know, the duration of the strikes. And that's exactly what I did. I got myself onto a feature that already had a script, and it was going well, even though really we could have done with some writers to manage the script. For the films, it was the actors then. When the actors jumped on board sort of mid-July, they kind of, some of them struggled on, limped on for a week or two, and then I guess they were kind of gauging the air of the actors and how long they may be on strike for, and so then that's when everything shut down.
It's been a few months now since the actors also went on strike. So how have you tried to deal with all of this uncertainty when it comes to your career and your work?
Well, I mean, the career and the work, I mean, as far as the career goes and me working in the industry and my reputation and all that kind of stuff, I mean, there's not a lot you can do. I mean, no one's working, so it's the same for everyone. So everyone understands why you're not working and all that kind of stuff. So in terms of career, I mean, there's not much. I mean, you know, I called around a few producers and what have you, but the more local stuff, seeing if there was any local Canadian content being done and whether I could jump on board that. But there wasn't. So yeah, you just kind of put yourself on hold like everyone else.
What kind of longer term ramifications do you think this current shutdown could have, or maybe already has had, on the film industry here?
Yeah, difficult to say till I go back, but I suspect I only know of a couple people who have like found other careers that maybe they thought were going to be a side career, but they've kind of said on Instagram, "Oh, yeah, I actually really kind of like this. I'm enjoying the hours more and what have you." And so, I'm not going to be coming back to film for the foreseeable future. So, some people I think would have had to find other things out of necessity and may or may not come back. But that said, other than losing some people, I think, it'll bounce back. Vancouver's lucky, I think, because we're in the same time zone as LA, and generally we're cheaper labor, even if the dollars were on par. And we've got a whole variety of landscapes and things in terms of locations. So we're lucky in as much as I think we're in pretty good shape for longevity as far as the film business staying in Vancouver is. So it'll bounce back. And I mean, that's what I, and I'm sure many other people, sort of said to their banks when they had to go in begging for loans or whatever, is that, it's like, I've got no concerns about it bouncing back. It's just, when does it bounce back? But it will, and then it will be kind of business as normal.
And when it comes to these negotiations in the U.S. setting some sort of precedent, the Writers Guild of Canada's current collective agreement is scheduled to expire at the end of this year. What do you know about the renegotiation process on that?
Not much, because I'm not a writer. But I mean, I think it's a different union completely, in different jurisdictions. So, I mean, I think they would like to think that it would help set a precedent for their negotiations. I think they would try and take some of the precedents, like the use of AI and all that, because I think that's close to every writer's heart.
Obviously, you said you're not a writer, but when it comes to being an art director, production designer, do you think that this stoppage, these negotiations, will change a little bit of the work that you do, or is it a matter of just waiting it out and waiting for things to go back to the way they were before the strikes on your end?
Yeah, I think it's the latter. I mean, I don't think it'll really change much for us, really. It's quite often, especially up here, scripts will come with directors, unless it's a TV series, but films especially come with the directors and scripts in hand, and it's all rewritten down there and what have you, and we'll design to the script. So, as long as the writers are happy and producing their work, then we design to that. So it really is business as usual. But it's an interesting time, because with the quick advancement of AI and the use of AI in all sorts of areas, it's good to sort of set some precedent now for both the actors and the writers, especially, I think. So, it's been annoying in as much as, not working, running up a debt and all that kind of stuff. But I think they were striking for the right reasons and at the right time. So, good on them for sticking it out and working it out with the producers. Or I should really not say producers, it's more production companies. Producers don't necessarily work for the companies, so it's production companies.
Is this whole process, do you think that it's one that's going to be a net positive in the future for the industry, or has it made you become a little bit more disillusioned with the state of it?
No, I don't think it's made me more disillusioned. It's it's happened before, and it'll probably happen again. It's just you I don't know. It was like, this time was different, like I said, in as much as there was less work in the run up to them, and last time they kind of, the studios knew it was coming, so it's almost like they pushed out more stuff before the people went on strike. But it hasn't happened for years. So, the last time, like I said, I was lucky. I was working on a Canadian show, so I weathered the storm that way. I mean, it's a fickle business, so it's been good to me, touch wood, for 20 years. So hopefully it's good for like another 10 for me. longer for everyone else.
Thank you to David Clark for speaking with me here. This has been Jake McGrail with the For the Record segment, and you're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Trettenaro.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good morning, this is Philip Kovacevic with your 10:30 news headlines. A fire is raging at an elementary school in Surrey this morning. The flames are ravaging Cloverdale Traditional School along Highway 10 near 177B Street. Firefighters are currently responding to the blaze, and the school has posted a message saying the facility is closed due to site issues and will shortly be sending more information to the school's families. Swifties are in for a good time next year as Taylor Swift herself is coming to Vancouver for her tour next December. Our reporter Jocelyn Suppel talked to some BCIT students to get their thoughts on Swift's future arrival.
Really? She is? Yeah. I didn't know about this. Pretty excited. Yeah, I really like her new album, so like the Taylor's version of the 1989, so I'd be like wanting to go if the tickets are reasonably priced.
I mean, I guess it's good for the people that like Taylor Swift. I'm happy for them, I guess.
I think I'm going to stay out of the city when that happens.
Yeah, probably the same. It'd be safe to stay inside.
Yes.
A new study says growth in Canada's healthcare spending increased slightly this year but remains below pre-pandemic levels. The Canadian Institute for Health Information projects health spending will reach $344 billion or about $8,700 per person in Canada. That's a 2.8% increase over the last year. Health Expenditures Manager Christopher Kuchek says that it's still well below the pre-pandemic average growth.
I would say the current trends of modest growth is very much a pullback from the COVID pandemic receding, right? We had that surge in emergency response, and so this is where returning to pre-pandemic levels of growth, which was over 4% per year.
Kuchek is expecting to see a higher increase in healthcare spending in the coming years due to inflation and population growth. A law is now in force in Newfoundland and Labrador allowing those at risk of domestic violence to get information from police about their partner's history. Justice Minister John Hogan told reporters today that Newfoundland and Labrador is the third province to enact such a law, after Alberta and Saskatchewan. Known as Clare's Law, the new rules allow people to seek the information from police, and they allow police to proactively disclose those details to anyone judged to be at risk. Those who feel they could be harmed can fill out a detailed online application that police will assess for risk factors. Police will then ask the person to meet with them, ideally in person, to discuss their risk level and, if warranted, to disclose information about their partner. Malin Enstrom, Executive Director of the Iris Kirby House Women's Shelter in St. John's, says she knows of several cases that may have been helped by the new law, had it been in place. Dozens of Palestinians with foreign passports are crossing through the Gaza Strips only exit for the second straight day. ABC's Ian Pannell reports more people are leaving since the Rafah border crossing opened.
We are now seeing many more Americans now on the list. Egypt's saying there's something like 7,000 foreign nationals are also hoping to get out. Obviously, people with passports from other countries around the world also desperate to get out of Gaza. But this is really just a drop in the ocean. You still have more than 2 million people trapped inside Gaza with no escape plan. And of course, don't forget the 240 plus hostages.
It seems that there haven't been any Canadians who got out of Gaza today. American Ballet Theatre has returned to China for the first time in a decade, the latest sign that strained U.S.-China relations are beginning to improve. The New York-based company's 85 dancers are prepared for opening night at the Shanghai Grand Theatre on Thursday. They are to perform Classic, Old and New, a program encompassing contemporary as well as classical choreography. The tour marks a revival of cultural exchanges between China and the United States. After 4 nights of performing in Shanghai, the ballet company will move to Beijing next week, where it will stage its acclaimed version of Giselle, a classic romantic ballad, at the National Center for the Performing Arts. Now for the weather, it'll be cloudy with rain showers in the afternoon. And those were your news headlines for 10:30. Philip Kovacevic, 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
a bit too fast because my heart is going a bit too fast, so I'm going to slow it down a bit.
We're like middlemen straight from the creator making these moves.
We're all kind of misfits.
Something to look forward to, you know? I feel like it's important. Like usually I'll just be like, grab my arm, and then you just kind of like pull them like a T-bar, you know?
I think skateboarding is a piece of medicine in itself.
We're just doing the work in hopes that eventually we'll have chapters of other nations' skate youth in other parts of Turtle Island.
It's nations, skate youth.
Nation Skate Youth started in my living room, organically. I was asked to go to Fort St. John to talk about mental health and bring skateboarding. I didn't know who to bring, and the first person I thought of was Joe Buffalo. Big inspiration in my life.
Joe came up with the name. It didn't really click at first, but after a while we made the logo and everything, and it all just came together so fast.
I think one of my main goals when I started Nations was to get more skate parks on reserves. We realized that this would be a bigger thing, to not just go to one community. We wanted to go to all the communities.
We all wanted to, create something that was like a youth program to help empower like youths through skateboarding. It's a way of getting yourself out of your own shell. And I feel like in a lot of First Nations communities, there's not a lot to do in those communities. It's very small, and sometimes you feel like you're trapped. A lot of them are really nervous when we first meet them. And I feel like when we always start with a talking circle. So it's like we tell our stories, and we kind of we try to make them feel comfortable, and tell them why we're there, and what we're gonna do in the day.
Everyone here is a new beginner or has skated before, and we're here to help each other. If you fall down, take a breath, get back up.
Everything's that way in the beginning, you know what I mean? You're gonna feel out of place when you're beginning, you know what I mean? That's normal. But once you meet your crowd, and that's half the battle with us growing up, is trying to find your people so that they grow with them from a young age as family members, and then they grow as skateboarders. Gives you a sense of identity too, you know? Every time I went to school, I'd always be like, I can't wait to go skate after, or having that, something to look forward to, you know? I feel like it's important when you're a kid.
Especially having a brother. It's easier to influence each other to do things, and you progress faster because of that. And it's like always having a friend there, and always having that safety net in a sense.
Skating is something that we grew up doing together. I feel like that kept us close, Skateboarding is part of my identity, and my family is part of my identity. just let skateboarding do its thing. It's that rich, you know? All we do is connect and instill that, plant that seed. It's something I never had growing up, you know?
Seeing Joe skateboard at his level and hearing that he went to the residential school and the way that kids, like, you know, oh, my dad went to residential school. Oh, my brother did. Oh, my mom did. You know, they start to relate. And I think that, you know, it's been a healing journey. Skateboarding, like I said, will take you out of all the negative, all the darkness that you feel. And once you get on a skateboard, that's an opportunity for you just to focus on something and be present.
Like even in my community, there's suicides like every year. And it's really sad because you lose knowledge keepers, you lose, you know, momentum. Like you lose just youth that have a lot of potential. And I remember Rosie, that was the biggest reason why she wanted to start Nations.
You know, to talk about alcohol, drugs, and suicide, because it's happening and they're so young and they see it and they're experiencing it. And just to let them know, like, that they're valued.
It kind of stops that intergenerational trauma because it's a lot of self-doubt, and skateboarding kind of gives you that, you know, that recognition that like it's not, yeah, it just gives you that freedom to express yourself.
Hell yeah.
So today I was skateboarding on the skate park and I was just learning. I was a little nervous at first, but then I got the hang of it. He made me feel happy. Okay, can we do that again?
Yeah, let's do it again. Okay, I'll go on this side of you.
Because he is a good skateboarder and he taught me how to do some tricks. Apple turnover and like tic-tac.
When you have someone believing in you and cheering you on, like that whole feeling, and that's how I try to do with Nations, you know, like you got it, you're there, and the just like the inspiring and like the empowerment you get from that, it's a good feeling. We want the youth to be their best selves. We want them to know that everything isn't going to be easy. But once they start skateboarding and you can see that they're pushing on their own and they're able to do tricks right away, and I think that's something that is so positive, and you know, it's gonna create leadership and create community where there hasn't been. What I've seen at Nations that makes me proud, when I ask a youth how to count in their language or say hello or thank you in their language, and they can tell me.
So kikiu means eagle, musquasses means bear, kukam means auntie, grandma, musha means grandpa, and tuk-tuk means duck.
What's your favorite word in Cree?
Eagle because I'm an eagle.
In so many ways, I was trying to find myself in skateboarding, like the community skateboarding has, which has been really fulfilling in a lot of ways. But I think connecting to my culture, you really do feel that connection with your ancestors when you do that stuff. I feel like with Nations, we're able to use skateboarding as like a tool to empower youth and to like give them, I know Rosie always said it, but like, you know, be proud of who you are and be proud of where you come from. And I feel like it rings so true in so many of the communities that we go to.
To be proud of who you are, be proud of where you come from, not to be ashamed. I feel like when you start telling them that at a young age, it's going to change the way they look at themselves, the way they carry on their culture and their traditions, the way that they will have that close relationship with their grandparents, and to learn. I know for me, I've heard stories that broke me, that completely broke me. And it made me mad, it made me angry, it made me sad, it made me pissed right off at the government. But when you're around youth, you know, you want to show them the hope. You definitely want to show them that there's hope out there.
Because it's needed. Someone's got to be here for the youth. Someone's got to be that person, that older brother, older sister needed, that kind of needed, you know? There's nothing like it. So that's why we figured give back. But I'm here to teach you. You're not gonna fall. I'm gonna hold you, okay? Give me your hands. We're just getting started, man.
Having self-determination to be better and to create that community, I think, is something that we want to pass down to the youth as well. Show them what's possible.
Look, Joanna, hey ya, hey ya. Look, Joanna, hey ya, hey ya. CGLA, hey ya, hey ya. CGLA, hey ya, hey ya. Angiela.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikka-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Trettenaro.
And I'm Radhika Sikka-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Jagraz Lawley with your 11 o'clock sports update. A new king of Major League Baseball has been crowned. ABC's Jim Ryan has the details.
After a championship series that went 5 games, an ESPN announcer was the first in history to say,
"The Texas Rangers are World Series champs."
A championship drought that predated the Rangers' arrival in Arlington was ended with a 5-0 win over the Arizona Diamondbacks. Fans back here in the Rangers' hometown felt joy and relief.
It's like weights lift off my shoulders. Been waiting so long for a championship from the Rangers. It's finally happened.
Arlington plans a parade for the returning champs Friday. Jim Ryan, ABC News in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Heading to the ice now, the Vancouver Canucks are headed to the Shark Tank tonight to face the San Jose Sharks. The Canucks are coming off a 5-2 win against the Nashville Predators on Halloween night, while the Sharks look to bounce back from a 3-0 defeat against the Carolina Hurricanes. Thatcher Demko is expected to take the crease for Vancouver, while Kaapo Kakkonen will try to get San Jose into the win column for the first time this season. Puck drop is set for 7:30 p.m. local time in San Jose. Heading to the court now, the NBA's in-season tournament is commencing on Friday, offering teams a new chance at a trophy. This tournament will run until December 9th and features a unique visual twist with brightly painted courts. The addition of a second trophy has been introduced under Commissioner Adam Silver's leadership. The group play games will take place on Tuesdays and Fridays throughout November, except for Election Day when the NBA will not hold games. The semifinals are scheduled for December 7th in Las Vegas, and the championship game will follow 2 nights later. Pascal Siakam scored a game-high 26 points, and new teammate Dennis Schroeder had 24 points and 11 assists as the Toronto Raptors handedly defeated the Milwaukee Bucks 130-111. Here's the call on TSN 1050 as Siakam makes a 2-point shot, assisted by Schroeder in the third quarter.
Here comes Schroeder to Siakam, far side, left wing. Pascal into the lane, floated up and in, and a foul. Give him 2 and send him to the line for the bonus throw.
Transition, hoops. Pascal getting into the teeth of the defense, getting to that strong hand there, won't be denied.
The Raptors now head south of the border to face Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers, who have added a couple of new bodies to their team. LeBron James had 35 points and 11 rebounds. Austin Reeves scored 7 of his 15 points in overtime, and the Los Angeles Lakers snapped an 11-game losing streak against the Los Angeles Clippers with a 130-125 victory last night. Here's the call as James makes a dunk assisted by Reeves in overtime.
Kawhi driving, loses it. Anthony Davis has got it ahead to Reeves. Reeves to the basket, alley-oop to LeBron! Slam dunk, timeout, Clippers! A perfectly executed alley-oop from Austin Reeves to LeBron. Wow!
Heading across the world now, India secured a Cricket World Cup semifinal spot with a dominating performance against Sri Lanka. India set a target of 358, and despite a disastrous start for Sri Lanka, they managed to avoid the lowest ODI total. Mohammad Shami's brilliant bowling performance with 5 for 18 led to a crushing 302-run win, dismissing Sri Lanka in just 19.4 overs. India had posted an imposing total of 357 for 8, led by Shubman Gill's 92, Virat Kohli's 88, and Shreyas Iyer's 82. Sri Lanka's fielding mistakes, including dropped catches, added to their woes. India's strong batting partnership between Gill and Kohli was a turning point, while Shreyas entertained the crowd with a 56-ball knock. Sri Lanka's decision to bowl first seemed questionable, as their bowling attack struggled in the heat. For Sri Lanka, Dilshan's 5 for 18 was a bright spot, making him the top wicket taker in the tournament with 18 wickets. India advanced to the semifinals undefeated, while Sri Lanka's qualification chances depend on winning their remaining 2 games and other results. And Nike, the NBA, and its teams unveiled the 2023-24 Nike NBA City Edition uniforms this morning, which represent the stories, history, and heritage that make each franchise unique, honoring the inherent bond between court, community, and culture. The uniforms are available for sale today at NBAstore.com, Nike.com, and select retailers globally. That's all for your 11 o'clock sports update. I'm Jagraz Lawley. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay listening to 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.